Guys, we got an awesome one for you today. As you see from the title I put, Orion is back in full force. And today we're checking out the HCCA3000.1DSPLX Class D monoblock amplifier. So everybody knows these HCC amps are pretty bad to the bone, and it's not anything new. So we're going to test it. And these are one of the higher end line amplifiers from Orion. So it looks really nice. You can see it's got black caps on the end, covers to kind of hide some of the wiring, and you can remove those. It's a nice red anodized finish. Now this is a large amplifier, and it has triple power inputs, 1/0. So from the looks of that, this thing's going to be putting out some power, and it's going to do over 3,000 watts for sure. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that these are like one of the old school sleeper amplifiers. So we will see if that's still the case, but here on the box it says 3,000 watts RMS, but then here it says 4,500 at 1 ohm, and even in the manual it says I think 4,500. So it looks like they're under-promising and over-delivering on this, which is better than the other way around. So that's pretty cool. So I'm really excited to do this one. Amp looks great. All right, and they also give you Allen keys for everything on the amplifier, including those plastic end covers. You get an Orion sticker. You get the strap cable if you want to strap two of these amps together. A metal bass knob with power clip indicator. A bass cable, and a manual. And the manual is pretty nice. There's a lot of information in there about how to connect different speakers, how to strap two amplifiers together. So super cool. Now, one thing is this amp is big. It's about 19.5 inches long by 12 inches wide. So it's bigger than most 3Ks, but come on, we all know this is not just a 3K. But they even give you a birth sheet right here, which is nice. So on their specs, it says that this actually put out 4,339 watts. So we'll see how accurate that is. And they rated this at 13.8 volts. And they even give you a serial number and the manufacturing date. So that's pretty cool. Then you also get a graph there to show the frequency output. As you guys know, that's one thing where some full bridges struggle is putting out frequencies under 30 hertz. So they get a graph there for you to check out what it put out. And you can see the triple 1/0 power inputs are huge. So this thing is a monster. You also have, looks like 8 gauge or 4 gauge speaker outputs. And on this side, you got 2 RCA-ins, 2 outs. You got your level, subsonic, bass boost, low pass phase. There's your data link connector and your remote input, and then power, clip, and protect. Lots of venting on the back of this amplifier, which again is super nice. To me, every amp should have all that venting for more airflow. It doesn't really cost any more money. It just opens it up to get more airflow and better cooling. So, and these end caps, as I said, they can be removed. They're kind of like beauty covers. They kind of hide some of the connections down there, but you don't have to run them. But they do make it look nice and look a lot cleaner. And this amp is super heavy. It's red anodized aluminum, and it feels really thick. So make sure you have a solid mounting surface for this thing, because it does have some weight to it. All right, well, let's go ahead and get these end caps off, and I'll show you guys how to take those off. It's really easy. So they give you an Allen wrench to do it, and there's only 2 screws on the top. And you have to remove these to get to the Allen screws, but you don't technically really have to run these if you don't want after everything's connected. It just makes it look a little cleaner. But let's go ahead and get this thing hooked up. I'm real excited to see what this thing does on the dyno, because this thing looks bad to the bone for sure. And let's see if this is still one of those Orion sleeper amps. Whoa! All right, so we got it all hooked up. Make sure you got electrical. Look at that. Triple 1/0 runs on this amplifier. This thing means business for sure. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the certified 4 ohm test. So certified runs the readings up to 1% THD and then stops. So basically this is clean power before any clipping, just to distortion. And the specs on the box say 1500 watts at 4 ohm, so let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, and it did over the 1500 watts, so it did 1618. And wow, we only drew 141.9 amps. I'll need to calculate it, but that seems very efficient, like in the 90%. I'll put a chart up later just to be sure. So now let's go ahead and do uncertified. Now this test runs all the way up to clipping, which on bass amplifiers, it's pretty relevant because you don't really hear or care too much about distortion on subs. So it already beat the 1500 watts. Let's see what it puts out up to clipping here. Nice. So 1665, and we drew 143.9 amps. This thing seems really efficient so far. I'll put a chart at the end, but man, so far it seems nice. All right, so now let's jump onto the 2 ohm test. The specs on the box say 2800 watts. And this is certified again, stops at 1% THD. And we're looking for 2800. Let's see if it can do it. This amp does have a cooling fan as well, guys. It's not the quietest, not the loudest, but it's nice that it does have a fan. Oh, right there, 2726. So specs say 28. I'll call that a pass. It's right there. And again, 247 amps for that much power seems pretty good. So far I'm loving this amp, man. It's staying super cool too. I like that it has the fan. A lot of half bridges, they did not put fans in there. I know they do tend to run a little cooler, but the more cooling, the better. All right, let's move on to the next test. All right, uncertified 2 ohms, all the way up to clipping. Now it already pretty much did the 2800, so it should do a little bit more on the uncertified test, but we shall see. Oh yeah, a little more, almost 2900 watts, 267 amps. That's a lot of power at 2 ohms, man. I mean, basically getting close to 3K at 2 ohms is very good. All right, so now let's get to the moment we've all been waiting for, the 1 ohm test. Now again, this is certified, stops at 1% THD. Now it says 3000 watts, but then in the manual it says 4500. So let's see what this thing does here, certified at 1 ohm. All right, so 4,242 watts. So well over the 3,000, but not quite at the 45, but this is certified. So maybe it'll do it uncertified. I'm sure it will. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, fellas. I feel like it's going to do it. I'm feeling good about this. So let's see what happens. Come on, Orion HCCA. Loving this amplifier. This is definitely a keeper from my personal collection. All right, 4,336. And wow, again, 414 amps for that power is very good. And we'll put an efficiency chart up at the end. And also I'll get the back off and show you guys what the insides look like. But there you go. And that actually corresponds to the burst sheet. It said about 4,300. So that's right, correct. And dynamically, I know this thing's going to do more. So I will call that a total pass. Now let's go ahead and switch things over and go through the dynamic tests at 4, 2, and 1 ohm. And I'll even do 0.67 ohm and see what this thing does. And I'll put a link to this amplifier in the video description below. And if you guys buy anything at Big Jeff Audio, don't forget to use the coupon code HiFi Vector to save some money. And if you guys like the content, please like and subscribe. Okay, so now we're going to do the dynamic test. We'll start at 4 ohms. So dynamic power is real power, but it's what the amplifier can put out for a short burst that's momentary, not long term. So like rock music or just regular country with a kick drum. So 4 ohms, there we go. We got, looks like 1665 watts, so very good at 4 ohm. More than enough power at 4 ohm if you ever needed to run this thing at that impedance. So now let's go ahead and do 2 ohm and see what it puts out. So spec said 2800 at 2 ohm. Oh, so there you go, almost 3000 at 2 ohm. And again, that efficiency looks excellent. We'll put a chart up here at the end with all the calculated efficiencies. But man, I mean, and again, that's at 2 ohm, putting out 3000 watts is really good power, especially for a half bridge. All right, now let's do 1 ohm. Amp already did great, but let's see dynamically what this monster can put out.
Oh my God!
Nice, 4,874 watts. Very, very good. And man, that meter didn't read right on that, I know. So disregard that 264 amps because there's no way. That happens sometimes with the inrush tests. Okay, and I know a lot of guys say these are half ohm stable, but I'm not sure. So, but I am going to do 0.67 ohms to see what this thing does. Nice. So 5,729 watts, 541.8 amps. Very nice. Very nice. And one thing I will say, I'm going to show you guys, this amp is super cool. So amps get really hot on the dyno. Usually they'll be like 150, 120 at least. Look at this thing, like 85 degrees. So this thing definitely is built solid and is going to be super reliable. Okay, so now let's check out the final results on this amplifier. All right, so here's all the final results. As I figured from doing the video, the efficiency on this amplifier is awesome. I mean, to get into the 90s is crazy, and even 80s is very good for the efficiency on a Class D amplifier. And of course, the power ratings did very well, and look at that, 4,874 watts dynamic at 1 ohm. And for the price, I think that's a great deal for this quality of an amplifier to put out that much power. So definitely worth it, and you can get these at Big Jeff Audio. I'll put a link in the description. But this is one of those amps that will last a long time too because of the quality. So keep that in mind. And now let's do the unthinkable. Slice open the do not remove sticker and look inside at the guts. Alright guys, and here is a better look at the insides of this amplifier. It's definitely super nice looking. So these are SAMWA caps in this thing. The large ones are 85 degree, 160 volt. 1000 microfarad, and then the smaller ones are 105 degree 2200 microfarad 25 volt caps. And you can see all the jumpers they have going from the inputs to the board. Then you got your toroidal power supplies. Everything's spaced out too, nothing's cramped, so everything looks very well put together. You have also a large cooling fan in the middle of the amp, which you don't see on that many half bridges. Some you do, but some don't. So that's definitely a good addition, but this thing is just super clean inside. The other thing I wanted to show you is that cooling fan actually blows through a certain vent on the chassis. Okay, and so really cool, this thing has a circulation system on it that's nice. So under that fan you can see that gap. Well, it runs along this opening all the way across the amplifier. So you're getting air that's not inside where it's just circulating hot air. It's actually circulating outside air, which is cooler. So that's a really nice feature. A lot of thought was put into that. So I just wanted to let you guys know. I haven't seen any other amps that's done that. They just usually stick a fan inside. All right, guys, well, that's it for this one. This amp did great. I will put product links in the video description if you guys want to check this amplifier out. It definitely exceeded my expectations, I'll say that. You can pick these up from bigjeffaudio.com. Again, I'll put a link in the description. Also, don't forget to use my coupon code HiFi. It saves you a lot of money from Big Jeff Audio. So yeah, but this amplifier is just killer. It really doesn't get any better than this. Huge power, super efficiency, excellent build quality. I mean, and I think these are about $700, but for an amplifier of this caliber, that's a very good deal. And this amp is going to last you for years. You guys are going to be able to have this for 10, 15, 20 years down the road, most likely. And that's the difference when you buy a quality amplifier. So nice to see that Orion's back. This amp really kicked butt. I'm loving it. I'll put a link in the description below. If you guys like the content, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. But yeah, guys, just a super amazing amplifier for sure. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
Please be advised, no amplifiers were harmed during the making of this video.